Tonight, we step into the quiet strength of a Gondorian soldier's life, low-born, high-dreaming, and forged in the long shadow of war. In the early years of Middle-earth's Fourth Age, when peace begins to settle over Minas Tirith like morning mist, not all battles are fought with swords. Some are fought in silence, through routine, memory, and duty carried out beneath the weight of stone walls and old songs. As we begin, I'd love to know where you're listening from and what time the night finds you. It's a small comfort knowing others are out there, sharing this moment from across the world. So take a breath, dim the lights, and step quietly now into the White City, where history sleeps but the watch never ends. You wake before the light touches the white tree's silver leaves, muscles stiff from yesterday's watch. The stone floor of the barracks is cool beneath your boots, reminding you that comfort is rare in Gondor's service. You swing your legs over the edge of your pallet, a rough canvas roll stuffed with straw, and draw in a breath of crisp air laced with the scent of pine from Mindolluin's forests. Duty never sleeps, and neither do you. Breakfast calls in the mess hall, where the low hum of conversation mingles with the clang of utensils on pewter plates. Today's fare: thick barley gruel dotted with dried figs imported from Dol Amroth, and a slab of goat's cheese so sharp it makes you blink. You dip a hunk of coarse bread, baked in communal ovens beneath the fourth circle, and swallow it quickly, mindful of the morning report at the gate. Your uniform hangs on a wooden peg, gambeson of dark wool, breastplate bearing the white tree, and greaves scuffed from 100 drills. You lace your boots, each leather flap a testament to the city's cobblers, and adjust your cloak's clasp, a single silver leaf salvaged from the Battle of Cair Andros. You've been warned it's worthless at keeping out winter's chill, but it's all the warmth you've got. Outside, the courtyard teems with life. Armourers hammer at anvils, sending sparks drifting like embers. Scribes hurry past with ledgers weighing more than your sword, and children of soldiers race across the cobblestones, shrieking challenges in voices too youthful for war. You nod to Sergeant Eleanor, whose stern gaze hides a dry wit. She'll remind you of the day you flinched at a training mace. The great gate yawns open, admitting a flood of morning light and a frosty breeze. Beyond lies the Pelennor Fields, now sown with grain, once stained with blood. Your patrol today skirts the Anduin's bank, where fishermen from Losanach cast nets, their rowboats bobbing gently. The river's current runs strong, carrying barges of olive oil and salted fish, but also rumours of corsair remnants slipping upriver under cover of night. Beneath your helmet, a padded coif snug against your brow, you try not to imagine what happens when water seeps inside. You recall the engineer's boast that the new aqueducts would never fail, till you saw the fault line where a sapling's roots split marble stone. As you descend the terraced path, your boots click on smooth flagstones laid by Numenorean hands. The city's civil planning impresses even the weariest guard. 7 concentric circles, each draining waste through hidden channels, funneling sewage down distant slopes. The privy towers of the second circle overlook vineyards, while in the 5th, public latrines fed by cisterns stand scandalously close to tavern doors, necessary inconveniences that spark nightly debates over smell and etiquette. At the river's edge, you pause to inspect the flood defences, stone revetments carved with ancient runes, now moss-grown. The river can turn violent in spring, and every guard knows the memory of the great flood that drowned half the granaries still haunts the city council. You lay a reassuring hand on the parapet, hard granite that has outlasted empires. Your cohort fans out, shields at the ready. Corporal Halmar checks the stocks of fishing hooks, kindly reminding a local woodcrafter to secure his stall after last night's wind. Even in patrol, you practice diplomacy. A well-placed smile can diffuse more tension than a drawn sword, especially when merchants worry their wares might be mistaken for contraband. Today, the only contraband found is a barrel of spiced wine stashed beneath flax bales, surely meant for a high-born patron overlooking the city. Midday sun glints off the Anduin, and you allow yourself a moment's reprieve. You break bread with Halmar, a flat oatcake spread with honeyed goat cheese. As you chew, he recounts rumours from the Citadel, plans for a new tower, debates over expanding the garrison. You listen, nodding. Reform drifts down from the steward's chambers like fine dust, settling unevenly among common soldiers and nobles alike. The patrol moves on, tracing the riverbank to a ruined watchpost, once a sentinel against easterling raids. Now wildflowers thrive among fallen stones, and a pair of herons roost on a collapsed wall. You tip your helm in respect. Even ruin welcomes renewal. You press inward, scanning for disturbances, broken nets, footprints that suggest more than mere commerce. As afternoon wanes, clouds gather over the Ethel Duath's ridges, a cold whisper that tickles your spine. You urge the patrol back towards shelter, mindful that evening storms can turn paths to rivers. You cross bridges engineered to carry both water and stone, marveling that even a city born of war retains the grace of gardens. Trimmed hedges line the walkways, and marble fountains still flow, though piped water reaches only those who can afford it. Returning to the barracks, you shake snow from your cloak and hang it to dry near the hearth. Dinner awaits. Salted venison stew, thick with root vegetables and stale bread softened by broth. Around the table, laughter flows freer than the mead, punctuated by Halmar's exaggerated tales of the day's near misses. You laugh, despite a stitch in your side, grateful for camaraderie forged in the shadow of the White Tower. Later, as torchlight dances on stone walls, you visit the bathhouse of the Fifth Circle, open nightly to soldiers. You soak aching limbs in tubs fed by steaming aqueduct water, scented lightly with pine resin. The modest luxury leaves you feeling human again, though the stone floor remains damp and the changing cubicles lack privacy. Still, the steam rising around you carries talk of promotions, desertion rumours, and whispered hopes that King Elisar's lineage will restore Gondor's glory. Night deepens, and you step back onto the ramparts for one final watch. The Anduin reflects the moon's soft glow, a silver path stretching into shadowed lands. You lean on your spear, eyes tracing the river's curve toward Mordor's black silhouette. You wonder what tomorrow's watch will hold, another smuggler's tale, a friendly wave from the fisherman, or something far darker. For now, you breathe in the night air, a soldier held between duty and destiny. The city sleeps, but your vigil never ends. Tomorrow you will rise again, don armor, and step forth into the dawn. And the river will flow, carrying stories old and new, as unyielding as the spirit of Gondor itself. The next morning begins with the scent of warmed stone and river wind, the same as it ever was. But something in the light catches differently today, and it brings memory unbidden. Not of battles fought or walls guarded, but of dusty lanes and a child's quiet world. You remember being small, no older than 10, chasing shadows in the Sixth Circle's alleys, while your mother bartered for apples bruised but sweet. Her hands always smelled of soap and thyme, the scent clinging even after long days scrubbing bandages in the healer's halls. She would press a dried fig into your palm while the merchant's back was turned. "War feeds no one," she'd mutter, "but a child still needs sweetness." You learned young not to argue when her jaw tightened like that. Your father, gone more than home, wore his guard cloak like a second skin. When he was off duty, he would sit you on his lap and carve animals from pine scraps, stags, crows, once a bear with a lopsided snout. You kept that one longest, even after the ear snapped off during a scuffle with the baker's son. Bears don't need both ears to be fierce, you told yourself, and carried it like a charm for years. One afternoon stands clear as still water, a day thick with summer dust, your boots too big for your legs, trailing after your father to the Fifth Circle parade grounds. The guards were drilling that morning, spears flashing in precise rhythm, the clang of boots sharp against stone. You hid behind a fountain, wide-eyed and breathless, as they pivoted in unison, like a school of silverfish darting through the city's belly. Your father spotted you, of course. He always did. Without breaking stride, he tossed a wink your way and adjusted his stance, exaggerating each movement as if to show you how the dance was done. You laughed, then ducked low, embarrassed at being seen. That was the first day you truly wanted to wear the white tree on your chest, not for duty, not even for pride, but to be near him. You were still young when the siege came. Too young to fight, too old to understand why the world was breaking. The sky over the Pelennor turned black with fire and smoke. You remember the sound more than anything, like the cracking of mountains, like drums made from thunder. The air in the sixth circle turned thick, and your mother's hands shook as she packed gauze into baskets. If the walls fall, you run, she told you. You find the passage through the herb garden. Don't look back. She didn't say where the passage led. You didn't have to run. The walls held, just barely. But when the horns of Rohan echoed down the valley and the sun broke through for the first time in days, you remember running anyway. Not from fear, but toward the sound, toward hope. You climbed a stairwell meant for messengers, craning to see the fields below where dust had swallowed the world. From that high perch, you saw them, horsemen like waves, Gondorian banners rising amid ruin, the white tree bloodied but unbroken. You were crying, though you didn't know why. Perhaps from relief. Perhaps because some part of you knew then that you'd never leave these walls, that you'd stand your turn as your father had. After the war, your father came back changed. His hair had gone white at the temples, though he wasn't yet 40. He spoke less, laughed rarely. Sometimes he stared out toward the Anduin as if expecting it to carry more ghosts upriver. But he still carved for you, quieter things now. A sparrow, a piece of driftwood shaped like a ship. On your naming day, he gave you a small tree carved from Blackwood, its branches twisted just like the white tree in winter. You still keep it in your pack, the grain worn smooth by your thumb. Your mother didn't live to see peace. Fever took her in the spring after the war's end, when the healers' wards were emptying and the city was beginning to exhale. She died quietly, her hand in yours, asking you to remember the scent of thyme in her garden. You do. Every time you pass the herb stalls in the second circle, you smell it, bright and green, and her voice flickers back like candlelight. You think of these things now, standing watch beside the south gate. A merchant passes, cartwheels groaning under the weight of cider barrels. Children race in his wake, shrieking for fallen apple peels. One of them wears a tunic too large, sleeves flapping like gull wings. You smile. You once wore a tunic like that. Stole it from your father's trunk, imagining yourself a hero. That tunic became a sail, a cloak, a bandage in your games. Now you wear real armor, and it's heavier than you imagined. Doriel joins you at the gate. She has a new cut on her chin. Training injury, likely. You offer her a strip of cloth from your kit. She accepts it without thanks, because between soldiers some kindnesses don't need words. She asks, out of nowhere, "Did you always want to serve?" You nod slowly. "Since I was small." She doesn't ask more, just looks out past the wall, toward the fields greening with barley. "I think I dreamed of it too," she murmurs, "back when dreams were cheap." You both fall silent. Memory settles like dust in the folds of your cloak. You carry your childhood with you, stitched into the seams of your life, in the scuffed bear tucked in your footlocker, in the Blackwood Tree charm at your neck, in the faint echo of your father's footsteps when you pace the same routes he once walked. Even now, with the Citadel rising proud and steady above you, it's not the glory that keeps you rooted. It's the memory of small things, a fig in your palm, carvings in pine, the way your mother's voice lilted when she scolded you for tracking mud inside, the way your father always cleaned his boots before prayer, the view from the sixth stairwell, where the wall looked like a sea. You are not only a guard, you are a child grown tall among stone, carrying fragments of love and loss in every patrol. And so you watch, not just for danger, but for meaning, for the shapes of old memories returning in the faces of children who wave to you from alleys, who chase chickens near the markets, who may one day walk where you now stand. You watch for them. You watch for the city. And for the little boy who once wanted to be just like his father, standing where you are now, spear in hand, looking out past the gates into tomorrow. Back in your home, you inspect your gear, mentally noting their state as you go. Boots, 2 small cracks at the heel. Cloak, patched, still smells of damp wool. Spear, shaft, slightly warped, will need sanding. You kneel by your cot and note it all on your personal log. Not for inspection, for yourself. A ritual, almost. If your gear is ready, maybe you are too. You glance across the barracks. Halmar is scribbling a letter by candlelight. Outside, the city breathes its slow nocturne. Furnaces banked, wheels stilled, fountains whispering. You lie back and close your eyes. Tomorrow there will be more lists, more shortages, more drills on uneven stone, but there will also be order, your kind of order. The kind built not in halls of power, but in the quiet competence of soldiers who rise before light, who carry spears with care, who make sure boots are patched, and gear is clean, and duty gets done even when no one sees it. You close your tired eyes, and sleep takes you to a dream not your own, of elves beside a moonlit river, singing in a tongue you do not know, their faces lit with a light older than memory. Sunrise breaks in red streaks over the tower of Ecthelion, and the barracks stir like a beast waking slow. There is a saying among the guards, Gondor's might is measured in lists. Not lances, not even swords. Lists. You know it to be true. By the time you've rubbed sleep from your eyes and slung your cloak over stiff shoulders, the day's first duty scroll is already in Sergeant Elenon's hands. Ink still drying, seal still warm from the steward's lower scribes. She unrolls it like a commander unveiling a battle map, but instead of formations and tactics, it reads, provision shortages in the eastern storehouse, reinforcement rotation for Osgiliath ramparts, and a missing wagon of lamp oil lost between circles. Routine chaos. In a perfect world, Gondor's military structure would move like the gears of a dwarven clock, orderly, rhythmic, unyielding, and truthfully, it tries. You are one of thousands in the standing army, officially known as the Watch of the White City, part of a structure refined from the old Steward days and reshaped by Elisar's reforms. Gondor offers another vision of what civilization can be, a realm not just of walls and war, but of memory, resilience, and quiet endurance. A place where knowledge outlives conquest, where the white tree still blooms not because of power, but because of care. It reminds us that strength is not only measured in battles won, but in the hands that rebuild, in the lives quietly carried forward beneath stone arches and sunlit banners. The legacy of Gondor stretches far beyond the white towers of Minas Tirith. It challenges old assumptions, that greatness is born only in the days of Elendil or under the shadow of Numenor. Gondor proves that hope and dignity can survive even the long dark of Mordor, that after ruin, after silence, the spirit of a people can rise again, not in glory, but in gardens, in ledgers, in night patrols along quiet streets. Walk through her 7 circles and you can still hear it. The clang of the forges in the lower tiers, the rustle of parchment in the archivist's halls, the laughter of children chasing pigeons across the stones of the 4th circle. You might smell fish broth from a tavern hearth or fresh-turned earth in the gardens of the houses of healing. Gondor teaches us that even when kingdoms fall, they do not vanish. Their spirit lingers, in stone, in story, in the choices of ordinary folk who choose to keep faith. In the great rhythm of Middle-earth's history, Gondor shines not merely as a relic of a golden past, but as a light for what may come. A reminder that even on the edges of shadow, even beneath the memory of war, peace can grow, wonder can endure, and a single soldier, low-born, high-dreaming, can help carry a world forward, step by quiet step, into the dawn.